Europe's far north. In summer, the sun rules supreme. But the winters are long and dark. Life must endure radical changes here between the North Pole and the Polar Circle. But plants and animals brave the months of darkness and extreme temperatures. Some are even in their element in winter. Deadly danger and icy beauty lie close together in the polar night. Autumn begins when night and day are of equal length. In the far north of Europe, the sun lies low in the sky. Shadows lengthen, and from now on, the days get shorter and shorter. But before darkness envelops the polar circle completely, nature presents the fruits of the long summer days. For the forest animals, the abundance of food comes at just the right time. The mother bear needs plenty of calories right now to be able to provide her offspring with enough milk. And she has to consume even more to build up the fat reserves she will need for the impending winter hibernation. She eats ceaselessly, putting on up to 3 kilograms a day. The little ones copy her enthusiastically, learning how to find their own food as they go. They stick closely to their mother, safe under her protection. There are only a couple more weeks left to feed before they retreat to their cave to hibernate. On the other hand, the squirrel sets up stores. It stays awake all winter and needs to eat frequently. The Siberian jay also stockpiles food, being one of the few birds that spends the entire winter in the north. At the end of September, the hours of sunshine are dwindling. Autumn is short in the Arctic. Reindeer have fed well on their summer pastures. Now, autumn's abundance must help them stock up the rest of their winter fat reserves. The weather will soon change, and once there is nothing more for them to eat here, they will have to move on. But there is still a lavish banquet on offer. Scandinavia's lakes are also teeming with food, providing whooper swans with everything they need. There are plenty of berries to be found on the shores. And in the lakes, above all, water plants, their favorite food. But as soon as the lakes freeze over, they're cut off from their food supply. The family now has to leave their summer residence. Like all Arctic breeding birds, they flee from the cold and darkness, leaving the winter world to the survival specialists. In early October, temperatures already dropped to freezing point. Winter arrives fast and early in polar country. With temperatures around zero, rain turns into sleet, tiny snowballs that herald the winter. More and more cloud fronts move across the land, with the temperatures dropping ever lower. And soon, the snow arrives. All life seems to have disappeared. The forests fall silent. Brown bears are hibernating. They will stay in their caves for around 7 months. They save energy by slowing their heartbeat and lowering their body temperature. They live exclusively off their fat reserves. This is their way of pulling through the hard Nordic winter. But the cold season is not all dark, icy, and hostile. On clear days, when the winter sun peeps over the horizon, it transforms the landscape into a glittering jewel. Very few songbirds remain in the polar north year-round. Among them are the colorful male and female pine grosbeaks and the Arctic redpoll. They're hardy and still able to find enough food. Far north, at the pole itself, darkness has already reigned for 4 weeks since mid-October. But further south, the days are getting shorter quickly too. In the polar circle, the sun now only appears for 8 hours. Autumn's golden days have vanished. The time for radical transformations has arrived. Also, for reindeer. Although they belong to the Sami people, reindeer herders, they live mostly in the wild. They are ideally adapted to life in the cold and darkness, and even in the most barren Scandinavian winter, can still find enough food to survive. Though they do have to walk a long way for it. In November, the scattered groups gather in huge herds. And at some point, as if by invisible command, the mass migration to their winter pastures begins. Although they've been domesticated for hundreds of years, an ancient instinct leads them to where they can still find food. The seasonal extremes in the Earth's polar regions are caused by an astronomical phenomenon. At the North Pole, the night lasts for 6 months in winter. The reason is that the Earth's axis is at an angle to the sun. So as the Earth orbits around the sun, either the north or the south gets more light. This is what causes the seasons. When the Earth's axis is tilted away from the sun, it's winter in the north. Around December 21st, the entire polar circle is in the shade. But when the Earth's axis tilts towards the sun, it's summer in the northern hemisphere. Around June 21st, the entire polar region is in broad daylight. From then onwards, the night shadow creeps steadily towards the North Pole, until around December 21st, it once again envelops the entire polar circle. That is the zenith of polar night. Directly at the pole, the sun disappears for half a year. In the north of Norway, in the polar circle, it only disappears for 1 day before reappearing just above the horizon. But even its indirect rays light up the heavens, providing a little twilight for a short while each day. Over the next few weeks and months, the far north is ruled by twilight and darkness. The nights are very long, which makes the northern lights, Aurora borealis, clearly visible. It's not all gloomy night when the sun disappears. On clear nights, the moon is bright enough for survival experts. Like the Arctic fox, there are many animals whose eyes are particularly well adapted to the dim conditions. They have large pupils and highly sensitive retinas. Reindeer also have extremely sensitive eyes. And they change color from light brown in summer to dark blue in winter. This color change causes incident light to be distributed to more photoreceptors. A unique adaptation that's never been observed in any other mammal. It's not only dark, but also freezing cold. Without the warming strength of the sun, temperatures now fall permanently to below -20 degrees. Together with icy winds, conditions could not be more hostile. How do animals and plants manage to get through this inhospitable time unscathed? The most important thing now is to conserve warmth. Musk oxen master this to perfection. They're large, with small ears and short legs. This means the surface of their body is relatively small in relation to its volume. All that prevents loss of warmth. They also have a long, dense coat and a woolly undercoat that's up to 10 centimeters thick. And ample subcutaneous fat provides extra warmth. So winter storms hardly affect them at all. Reindeer are equally effectively adapted to extremely cold temperatures. They also grow a thick, shaggy winter coat. The special thing about reindeer hair is it's hollow. This creates a cushion of air that insulates against the cold. Thermal imaging shows that their coat gives off hardly any warmth at all. The reindeer's nose is equally unusual. Thanks to its special inner structure, the inhaled air is warmed up to body temperature before it reaches their lungs. And it's well supplied with blood. In the thermal image, it really does look like Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. In contrast, their legs are cool. The blood from the body's interior transmits its warmth to the cool blood returning from the exterior. This circulation works like a heat exchanger, stopping the legs from freezing and the body from cooling down. So reindeer can even withstand temperatures of up to minus 40 degrees. In the winter months, the interior of northern Scandinavia is frozen by icy cold. But at the coast, it's surprisingly mild. The Gulf Stream ensures that the Norwegian fjords stay ice-free all year round. The seawater is seldom colder than 4 degrees centigrade. It's too warm to freeze, no matter how low the ambient temperature is. Thanks to the mild ocean current, it fosters an unusual biodiversity, even in the far north. Seabirds gather in the sheltered bays. And herons arrive from the frozen hinterland. When it's light enough during the day, they can still find food here. Purple sandpipers wander about in large groups. They are the only waders that also spend the winter north of the polar circle. The few hours of twilight a day are enough for them to eat their fill. The waters of the northern Norwegian fjords are an unimaginably rich natural source of food. Billions of herring spend the winter here. Norwegian killer whales follow the gigantic shoals. In the gloomy winter light, the orcas intensify their acoustic signals to help orientate themselves and to communicate with one another during the hunt. Some of them drive the herring to the surface, where the group's hunter whale is waiting. It slaps its flukes again and again into the shoal of fish. This stuns the fish, making them easier to catch, and the whole family eats its fill. Even though the killer whales eradicate tons of herring on their raids, they still only consume less than 1% of the stock. The Gulf Stream keeps the northern European Ocean ice-free even beyond the Arctic Circle, though not as far as the Spitsbergen archipelago, located more than 1,000 kilometers north of Norway. Polar night lasts almost 4 full months here. Conditions are even more extreme than on the mainland. It's the season in which the polar bear is in its element. There is hardly another creature so perfectly adapted to its habitat. Its warm coat doesn't just cover its body, but also its legs and the broad soles of its feet, ensuring that it doesn't sink into the snow. A thick layer of fat insulates it against the cold, even at minus 40 degrees centigrade. This young male is on the hunt for seals. The frozen sea at the mouth of the Spitsbergen Glacier is its hunting ground. The polar bear doesn't hibernate. On the contrary, the polar winter rouses its zest for life. And as long as there's enough ice and snow, he is the indisputable king of the Arctic. Polar night doesn't only bring cold and darkness. it also sets the scene for a fabulous phenomenon of nature. The Northern Lights, or Aurora Borealis, magically transform the night sky. This fascinating natural spectacle is a cosmic phenomenon and, surprisingly, is caused by the sun. Although it can't be seen, it is a prerequisite for the dramatic polar light display. The sun constantly hurls huge amounts of charged particles into space, the so-called solar winds. When these reach the Earth's magnetic field, the particles collide with the atoms in the upper atmosphere, and the Aurora Borealis is born. As soon as it gets lighter, or the moon appears, the northern lights fade away. In the twilight of polar night, animals have little time to forage, and as they do, camouflage is a vital key to survival. The Arctic fox grows a dense white winter coat. In the snowy landscape, this makes it almost invisible to its prey. To protect itself from the rigors of the winter weather, it rolls itself up, keeping its muzzle warm in the fur. In particularly inhospitable conditions, it retreats into its burrow. Arctic hares have also changed the color of their coats from gray-brown to white, and are almost indiscernible. Only when they move can they be spotted by the Arctic fox. And danger also lurks from above. But the golden eagle cannot hunt for long, as even with its famously sharp vision, the twilight makes it hard to spot its prey. The rock ptarmigan is also perfectly camouflaged. Even when they're eating, they are almost indistinguishable from their surroundings. Nature doesn't always favor the hunter. But without camouflage, life is a risky business. And a Norwegian lemming would be a good catch. However, it has another strategy for protecting itself. Norwegian lemmings are among the animals that live in tunnels under the snow in winter. The thick white blanket provides excellent insulation and offers good protection from its enemies. While icy winter storms rage above, the little rodents can forage undisturbed beneath the snow. In late December, the brighter twilight periods in northern Scandinavia are still very short. Night continues to rule the land, as does extreme weather. Reindeer go in search of higher, more exposed ground, where the wind blows any cover off the ground. This makes it easier to find food. Like few Arctic survival specialists, they can use the almost indigestible lichens that grow here as nourishment. But this meager diet alone cannot cover their energy requirements in winter. They also slow down their metabolism dramatically. And above all, they rely on their fat reserves. Only those who have eaten well during the summer will be able to survive the long winter. The sick and weak have a very poor chance of survival. Although ravens are not exactly Arctic specialists, they also live north of the Arctic Circle. Especially in winter, they often feed on carrion. This is one of the main reasons for their bad image. They're often depicted as dark omens. Ravens can find plenty of carcasses in winter, as not all animals make it through the cold, harsh season. In these icy conditions, the meat stays fresh for a long time, a feast for the ravens. Other interested parties are unwelcome. The ravens defend their property. Eagles actually survive by hunting, but it's more convenient when the prey is already dead. If only it weren't for the ravens. In company like this, eating in peace is impossible. The Wolverine is a much feared hunter. The long darkness of the polar night is a great advantage for the Wolverine, as it has excellent night vision. It is almost soundless on its feet, and in the deep snow can move fast without sinking in. Its legs carry it like snowshoes. The Wolverine isn't intimidated by the ravens. The birds are under time pressure because when night falls, they're barely able to see anything. The Wolverine, on the other hand, eats constantly. And after only a few days, there is little more than skin and bones left on the carcass. Now, it can take the leftovers to a quieter spot. The extremes of life between polar day and polar night have brought about specialized adaptations in more than just the animal world. Deciduous trees spend winter in a protracted state of rest. They shed their leaves and gather strength in their roots. This way, they consume very little water. The frozen soil is almost as dry as a desert. The bare undergrowth serves the snow hare both as cover and source of food. The snow now acts like a platform, and with just a little effort, even a small hare can reach the topmost young shoots. Snow hares are easily satisfied. The tender twigs and bark it finds in the undergrowth are enough to see it through the winter. In this dark northern wilderness, only the frugal and well-adapted survive. Reindeer are without a doubt the specialists in Scandinavia. In the forest, they cannot find food on the ground, as it is covered by a deep layer of snow. Instead, they find lichen on the trees. Birch forests especially offer plenty of food. Everything that grows within reach of the reindeer is nibbled off. Including the tender shoots at the very tips of twigs and branches. They can even digest rough pine needles. Digestion takes a long time, as the tough food has to be ruminated. But these rest periods also save energy, which is a basic principle for surviving the long winter. The same goes for plants, too. At below zero temperatures, the conifers also halt their growth. But they don't shed their green clothing. They have a different way of reducing their water consumption. Their needles have a very small surface. This is also covered in a layer of wax with a very hard outer skin. The stomata in the needles are sunken, which allows almost no moisture to evaporate. And the sugar concentration in the cells rises significantly, creating an anti-freeze agent. In this way, trees prevent themselves from freezing in winter. This year's pine shoots also still provide food for moose. But the energy supply from the needles is only enough to keep the digestion going. Winter saps energy from everything. Squirrels live off their hidden stores. In the coniferous forests, they also find pine cones they can harvest. Moose often have to walk long distances to find enough of the right food. Frozen rivers are like streets for them, making it easier to roam large areas. Once the polar night has passed its zenith, the twilight phases start getting longer and brighter. This also goes for Varanga in the north of Norway. In mid-January, the sun is only just below the horizon. Twilight lasts for 6 hours, with nature's spellbinding play of colors. When the sun does emerge for the first time, it's only briefly. And even though it now appears for longer every day, it often stays hidden behind the clouds. In the northeast of Norway, the coast is notorious for its icy winter storms. However, the Varangar Fjord is in a sheltered spot, and the outer drifts of the Gulf Stream keep the sea free of ice here too. Eider ducks search here mainly for mussels, a difficult task in the surf zone due to poor visibility. But in the washed-up seaweed, they find water insects and snails. And they swim out repeatedly to their hunting grounds to dive for mussels. At Varangar Fjord at the end of January, the sun is already above the horizon for several hours. It's still bitterly cold. On very frosty days, the Gulf Stream's warming effect causes a special kind of mist to form above the sea's surface. This so-called sea fog only occurs when there is a very big difference in temperature between the surface of the warm water and the cold air. The damp air settles on the shore area, freezing immediately in the cold. A bizarre layer of frost enchants the landscape. Fragile ice crystals decorate twigs and the surface of the snow. How long this white splendor lasts depends on the weather, which here in the far north is extremely unpredictable. In the sheltered bays and harbors of Varangar, the forces of nature are not quite as extreme as out on the open seas. This makes it a popular place for ducks. Shallow, calm water. That saves energy when foraging. Even the rare king eider ducks enjoy visiting the harbors. Their summers are spent at the coast in the high Arctic and northern Siberia. They're on a kind of winter holiday here. For them, northern Norway is the warm south, and there's plenty of food too. Mussels, sea urchins, and starfish abound here. Seagulls are bad hunters, but very smart. This one watches the ducks and their successful hunting raids carefully. Then it takes action. Frightening the ducks is one method of snatching away their catch. Easy come, easy go. The ducks tirelessly bring starfish to the surface and are just as frequently attacked by the gulls. But everyone wins in the end, all benefiting from the abundance of the Arctic Ocean. By the middle of February, the sun is visible for nearly 8 hours at Varanga, even though it is still low in the sky. On Spitsbergen or Svalbard, some 1,000 kilometers further north, it is only just visible above the horizon. Conditions are still icy cold, but in principle, that's not a problem for Spitsbergen reindeer. They're well adapted and can usually find enough food under the soft snow cover. This year, though, the results of climate change are giving them a hard time. In the middle of winter, it got so warm that it rained. This resulted in a thick layer of ice forming on the frozen ground. The reindeer can hardly get at their food anymore. And even their hooves, so perfectly adapted to Arctic conditions, have no grip on the ground. They're forced to move to rocky terrain, with only sparse grass growing between the stones. Survival has become much harder. Many of them starved to death this winter. The Arctic fox also has problems now. The layer of ice prevents him from digging out his stashed supplies. For him, the reindeer carcass means salvation. In the cold, the animal cadaver stays fresh much longer, providing the fox with supplies for a long time. Even though it's hard work tearing the frozen meat off the bones. Not everything is consumed in one go. The Arctic fox knows how to manage its resources, and thanks to a snowfall in the interim, its treasure can be hidden under the snow again. At the end of February, when the sun reappears in Spitsbergen, the days quickly get longer. By early March, they already last for 6 hours. But this far north, the landscape remains in a wintry grip for a long while. The return of the sun wakens the polar bear's reproductive instincts. The male positions himself near a family. He has been following the bear family for days. The young ones are almost independent, but still have a lot to learn in order to survive in the Arctic. Using their excellent sense of smell, they track a seal by its scent and practice detecting it under the ice. Distracted by play, they don't notice that their mother has moved on. The male senses his chance to conquer the female for himself. He's not the only one following her. A radio collar shows that her movements are also of scientific interest. A short while later, it turns out he has successfully separated her from her family. Now he drives her further up into the mountains. This is the polar bear nuptial platform in Spitsbergen. The young bears realize belatedly that their mother has disappeared. They can smell her, though, and follow her scent into the mountains. The mother bear is not yet in heat. He won't accept that. She chooses the fastest route back down. He can't stop her now. And while she is reunited with her young, all he can do is beat a frustrated retreat. A major setback, but he won't give up until he reaches his goal. In March, day and night are once again almost equal in length. From the Arctic Circle to the North Pole, the sun makes a powerful return. Despite snow and ice, the longer hours of brightness signal the start of spring, especially for the animals. Soon, the coastal cliffs are densely populated again. Kittiwakes have spent the winter out to sea. Now in March, they come to the land to breed. The safest nesting places midway up the cliffs are the most sought after. Bitter fights break out. They all want the best for their partner and their offspring. The difficulty is keeping the spot once it's been appropriated. After days of strife, the front lines are finally settled. And the next generation is in the works. Across the entire polar region, animals and plants are now preparing for summer. At the end of March, the polar night is finally over. The sun reigns supreme. Soon, the reindeer will leave their winter pastures. Most of them have survived the dark time filled with privation. the snow will melt, and the magic of the winter wonderland will fade away. But the polar night will return. In 6 short months, it will begin again at the North Pole and creep steadily across the far north of Europe.